You're listening to the Fayetteville 411 podcast produced by the City of Fayetteville, where you get information about city government and the programs and services we provide. You'll get topics of interest and an inside look into the various departments that help keep our city moving. I'm Sherry Kropp.
And I'm John Salling. Thanks for listening to the Fayetteville 411 podcast. This podcast is just one way that the city shares information with our residents. And today, Sherry and I have invited members of our very own Fayetteville Woodpeckers to talk about how they give back to the community, how the season's going, how the environment they see in Fayetteville is for the team. We're joined today by Jackson Bingham and Pete Subsera.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here. Yeah, absolutely.
So I know you, the Woodpeckers, are going on their 5th season here. We're celebrating 5 years. And I know that you have a huge fan base here in the city of Fayetteville, and even people come from outside of the city to come to the games. What would you say give us some numbers on how many people visit the stadium on a weekly basis? And how many have we hit so far since the season started?
Since the season started, we're going into homestand number 5 at this point. So at this point in the season, if we're averaging about 18,000 fans a week, so we've gone through, 72,000 fans at this point in the season, if we're, just going off of the averages based on ticket numbers and that kind of stuff. So, it's been fun this year, especially just with the way that the players have been playing this year at the stadium and keeping our fans all just really involved in the games. And, it's just been a fun atmosphere seeing the team play the way that they have. So, it's been a really great season up to this point. We're excited for these next 2 weeks. We've got 2 weeks worth of games going on starting today. So, it's been great so far.
And I will say, too, Jackson touched on Woodpeckers games. We also host, I can tell you right now, we have a summer camp tour going on. So we have things outside of Woodpeckers games, too, that we're doing every single day. Private parties upstairs in our lounge. We host chamber breakfasts once a month. So there's thousands of other people coming through that park for non-Woodpeckers games. So it's every day there's something going on. It's pretty crazy, the usage we get out of the park.
It's hard to keep an exact count on these things, too, especially with Pete mentioning private events. A lot of times those aren't necessarily ticketed events. So whenever we've got these just private, companies coming in, renting out the event space that we have, their foot traffic coming in, we don't really know what that exact number will be on any given event, night, etc. We're looking at lots more than, I guess, mentioning 72,000 fans up at this point in the season. We don't really know exactly where that could be, upwards of that. So
tell us some about your guys' community outreach efforts here.
Sure. So we do quite a bit around the community. We have a Woodpeckers Fund here, and under that fund, we also have a program called Community Leaders, which, if you haven't been to the ballpark, there's a large sign out in left field that showcases, I think we have 5 now, 5 large community leader partners. And, those partners are extremely important to us. They not only do they have prominent signage around the ballpark, but they also provide us with funds that we give back to the community in specific initiatives, which are military initiatives, youth sports, and also natural disasters as they come up, which hopefully they don't come up often, if at all. So we do a lot of things in that regard. Right now we're doing some stuff with youth sports where high school teams can apply for equipment donations. We do a program called Backpack for Patriots, which we basically buy large backpacks for homeless vets. We spend roughly probably $90,000 to $100,000 on community initiatives between ourselves and our community partners every year. So we have a lot going on every month. School supplies coming up. There's a lot that we do. It's hard to keep track of, which is a good thing.
Definitely, yeah. Pete just hit on a lot of that stuff. So, whenever we're able to volunteer our time and get active and involved, it's always fun to find a way to do it. So.
And I have to say, you have something for every age in the ballpark, from the small kids all the way up to the adults. You've got a lot of activities that are happening during the games. you have the kiss cam thing going on, which gets people, pumped up. And matter of fact, me and my husband have been on there a couple of times. And then, of course, you have the adult beverages over on the left side at Healy's Bar, which all of the adults, love to patron that. But you've got a lot of activities where you're getting the kids involved and the fans in the stands involved. Talk about some of the things that you do and how you come up with those ideas.
Yeah, it never stops. I'll say we're a little bit different from your hockey teams and your football teams. We have 66 home games every year, and a lot of those games are 6 days in a row. So it's, Fayetteville's a unique market in that we have so many different demos here, right? Like you have the military Gen Z crowd, you have kids, you have people leaving the military and staying here in Fayetteville, which is great, and they have families. So it's we're trying to target different people every game, and we obviously have our staples, Thirsty Thursdays, Wagon Wednesdays. You can bring your dog out to the park; those are catching on. We have great F&B discounts on Tuesdays, $9 tickets, $1 hot dogs, and then we have our fireworks on Fridays, and our kids are on the bases on Sundays, and giveaways on Saturdays. So there's always something unique, and I think for us, Jackson and I, and the rest of our staff, it's also we have to work 66 games in over 5 months. So how can we entertain our fans? How can we stay engaged? And that's coming up with these fun theme nights, Christmas in July, Margaritaville. There's so many different themes that we want to do that keep us engaged in the season as well, and keep shows fresh. And it's a grind over 5 months. And once we get somebody out to a game, if it's their first game, we want them to come back the next homestand. So we're always trying to do different things and target different age groups. And so that's the fun part of our season. I think once we get to October, November, December, and we're planning the following year, just sitting in a room with 25 people and coming up with ideas and
bouncing ideas around.
Yeah,
that's a fun day for sure.
Yeah. So.
That's what I was going to say is that, your job doesn't quit at the end of the season. You're there all year round planning the events that are going to take place when the next season starts and, handling other events that might be taking place inside of the stadium, right?
Yeah, we mentioned outside baseball events, and I think coming up after the season ends at the beginning of September, we have a beer festival called Pectoberfest, which is a huge event. We have Holiday Lights, which has been a 3-year thing now, and this year it's running from Black Friday until right before Christmas. So it's 28 days straight of Christmas lights, and there's a lot that goes on for the 3 months after the season ends, and we're lucky to have staff that enjoys being at the ballpark.
And it's not even just after the season ends either. I mean, we've got a sport card show coming up in just the next few weeks, so it's really just any given time that whenever baseball isn't being played, it's how can we kind of get creative and look to use this space. Not just for our benefit, but for the benefit of the community. It's an opportunity like the sport card show, for example, bringing different vendors from around the state and from around here locally, just giving them an opportunity to set up at a venue where, we are looking at having a pretty heavy flow of traffic through that day. So, that kind of stuff just all the time, not even just the 3 months after the season, though the 3 months after the season, that is when it is very much so events time. So
sure. Yep. And in 5 years here, how's kind of the community reception been? What are, from your guys' perspective, the energy you're seeing? How are people feeling?
Absolutely. I just, personally love whenever we get out of the stadium, you're going around town doing your shopping throughout the week, and, maybe I'll have my Woodpeckers gear on. Maybe I'll see someone wearing a Woodpeckers hat on, across the way. But just kind of that community feel whenever, hey, man, go Peckers. You shout it down the aisle at the grocery store, or, maybe someone's a couple gas pumps down the way or something along those lines. But, it's always great whenever the community can kind of rally around something. And whenever, like I mentioned, this year, it's been just a whole lot of fun. People have mentioned that this year has just been such a great vibe at the ballpark, just such a fun atmosphere so far, and how much they're looking forward to getting back out to games. So also talking about, the team's been gone for a week. People always love to come back that next week, or maybe it's been a couple weeks since the team's been at the ballpark. But it's always refreshing to hear fans come back and say, hey, man, we've been missing out on this. We're glad to have the team back in town. So, it feels good on the inside whenever you have those conversations.
There's a sense of awareness, too, that I think we try to strive on. I consider Fayetteville like a mini Washington, D.C., right? Where every 2 to 4 years we have new people coming in, and it's we're flipping fans every couple of years, and we're always looking to improve on making people, especially on Liberty, aware that we're here. I know the community that lives in Haymount and the surrounding downtown area know we're here, but we have so many new fans that come in, and it's great. We'll always have a floor as a baseball team here, but I think it's also, we want to touch these communities outside of Fayetteville and get people to the ballpark that haven't been to a game, and we've been very blessed having the support of the downtown community the past 5 years, and we're always grateful to have this ballpark. I tell our staff all the time that I've been to a lot of minor league parks, and there's nothing that really compares, especially at this level, to Sager Stadium. It's a pretty cool place to be, and we're hoping downtown develops around it. I feel like we're the hub, and hopefully we see continued progress over the next few years.
I would definitely say that it has brought a lot of visitors downtown because they'll come downtown, they'll eat in the restaurants, and then they'll go to a game, or they'll just stroll downtown, and that's been really good. I've seen an increase in that over the past 5 years.
Yeah, as Jackson said, it's cool. We don't get to experience that because we're stuck in the ballpark, but there are times, I know there's been a few times over the last couple of years where I've been able to go out and walk down Hay Street, and it's cool seeing people in Woodpeckers gear, and I think that's what the downtown needs, and hopefully needs more of, and it is a cool vibe on game nights.
And so, do you guys see a lot of repeat players season to season, or do you get a lot of changeover?
It's funny how that works out. Just especially going back to the Houston Astros, I guess, picks over the last few years. The players that we've had coming through our system have been very young, and a lot of them have kind of been given an opportunity at the single A level, which that's where we are. So at the single A level with these players coming in, they have the opportunity to perform and, hopefully make it up to that next location, which for us, the high A team is in Asheville. So just a quick trip down the road for these players who get pulled up. But, it's unfortunate for the ones that don't necessarily make it. They aren't meeting the quotas that you'll see downstairs with the player development side of things. And unfortunately, a few of them do end up making their way back home. They get cut from the team, and they end up getting released. So with that, it opens up more opportunity for some other players to potentially get signed, or for the roster to do its kind of thing where, stuff gets fluid, players get moved up and down all the time. So it is interesting kind of seeing how the player situation works out here. We have got a bunch of players that will come in and out of our roster any given season, but this season and last season as well, we've kind of seen a little bit more stability as we, I guess, the draft picks have kind of evened out from a few years ago. So that's been fun to see that the team just kind of getting to stay put maybe a little bit longer, our fans getting to know the players a little better. That's been a fun part of it, kind of some stuff that I've noticed on my end anyways. I don't know if you've got more to add to that there, Pete.
Big date coming up for us is the MLB draft, which happens during All-Star Week, which is the second week of July. And that's when they draft a lot of these guys, and we'll see a lot of the players drafted this year wind up with us in August for the last 30 days of the season. And we're very young right now. We have 17, 18-year-olds on our team from the Dominican and Venezuela. And, as they succeed or struggle, they'll get kind of moved around once the draft happens, and we'll get a lot of those draft guys, and most of them are college players who are 22, 23 who will only be with us for this year. They're old for this level. So that's a big date for us. You'll see a lot of transition once we get to the beginning of August. And then one thing, too, that I think is unique about Fayetteville is you see a lot of local players here that come through. And, a great example, DJ Hers, who graduated from Terry Sanford a few years ago. He came here in 2021. He was with the Cubs system. He pitched 6 innings, I think shut us out. And he just made his MLB debut a few days ago with the Washington Nationals. So it's cool seeing these local kids come through. We just had a Campbell alum pitch for Augusta 2 weeks ago at our park. So we're seeing a lot of players that have come through the region play at the professional ranks here at Sagra. And, I think that's something unique to this market, too, is we have a lot of college baseball teams located within 2 hours of Fayetteville. And they wind up coming back and playing a few games here at Sagra Stadium. And I think that's a cool thing too, is just seeing local talent make it, and hopefully a lot of our guys have made it over the last few years. We've had a lot of players from 2019. The 2022 Houston Astros World Series MVP was a player of ours in 2019. So Jeremy Pena. So I think it's cool seeing a lot of success from these players who have come through the Woodpeckers.
Awesome. And with that kind of single A to high A system, can you just do kind of a quick run through, like, how does that work for us?
Whenever you do well in Fayetteville, let's say you do get drafted, or you do, get that call from, maybe a young guy living in the Dominican Republic or what have you, ends up making their way to the facility in Florida, and then they're ready to go, sent to Fayetteville. If they do well, they go down the road, mentioned to Asheville. So the Asheville Tourists are our high A team. From there, they hop on a plane and they go over to Corpus Christi, Texas. That's where the Corpus Christi Hooks are. That's our double A team. And then up the road from there is Sugarland, Texas, the Sugarland Space Cowboys. And then they're just south of Houston, and that's the final destination. So that's the look through the farm system right there.
Now, Pete, you started out when the stadium was brand new and the Woodpeckers were launched, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I got here in 18, November of 18. So I was kind of part of that initial branding. Who are we going to be? Creating Bunker, the mascot, and obviously saw the development of the stadium. The Jackson was here in 19 as well. But yeah, I was part of the initial build, and we still have a couple OGs. I think there's 6 of us who are still here from 2019. So we'll always be proud of the originals from 2019. But yeah, it's been I left 2 years ago. I left in 2022 for 2 years and worked for the Nationals up in DC, and came back in March. So I love it here. Fayetteville's home to us, my wife and my daughter. So we'll never leave, hopefully. Knock on wood.
Now, when the Woodpeckers started back in 2019, they were a different level or a different class back then, right?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah,
how that's different from where they are now.
Sure. We were high A, so we were where Asheville is theoretically. And so COVID happened in 2020. During COVID, and this happened before 2020, there was a merger. Basically, Major League Baseball, I don't want to say purchased minor league baseball, but they merged minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. There was 40 teams out of the 160 minor league teams were eliminated. So now it's at 120, 4 teams for all 30 Major League Baseball teams. And there was some relocation, and it was basically based all off travel, right? Like they wanted to bring teams, especially minor league teams with lower budgets, bring their travel costs down, which was great for everybody. And we fell a level. I will say there's really not a whole lot of difference in competition between our level and high A. It's when you jump to double A, you'll see a lot of the better prospects. So we fell down a level, but the quality of baseball is the same. It really is. And our guys are a little bit younger, but that's why we came down, is for travel purposes. So we'll go to Zebulon and play the Mudcats, and Kannapolis and Columbia, Augusta, Myrtle Beach. So we're in our region where Asheville has to go up to Jersey City, and they have to go to Bowling Green, Kentucky. So they're on a bus for 12 hours, where our farthest trip, we go to Delmarva, Maryland, which is kind of far. But other than that, like, our farthest trip is 3 hours away. So a lot of that relocation in 21 was purely based off travel. But I will say the quality of baseball is almost identical between high A and low A.
Let's see. At this point in the season, how's the team feeling?
At this point in the season, their spirits are still high. That's the word on the street anyways. After this last week, unfortunately, we did not win the series. The series did not go the way we would have wished it would have at all. And unfortunately for us, too, kind of some outside factors. The Kannapolis Cannonballers are doing really well this year so far, at this point through the season anyways. They are the number one team in the league. They needed to lose a few games for us to have even had a shot at taking over that first place spot, but they did not lose the games that we wanted them to lose. We did not win the games that we wanted us to win. So we did not end up, getting to that first place spot for the first half of the season. But, like we said, the team's performing really well this year. The guys are having a lot of fun with it. It's a young team as well. So they don't really know, what it's like to lose at the professional level necessarily. So they're just out there kind of rolling with it, having a good time, which has been really, really fun to see. I'm not going to say necessarily from a crowd perspective, though. Yes, I'm sure from a crowd perspective, but I don't necessarily have the crowd perspective. So I've got the employee perspective. But yeah, it's been really great at through this point in the season. The team's trying their darndest, that's for sure, and they're having a great time with it, and the crowd's having a great time with it as well. So.
Well, the season's not over yet.
That is not, and
right?
We're not even halfway through.
And luckily, if you aren't familiar with how our playoff system works, the first 66 games is considered the first half. After the first half, after the 66th game of the season, it flips over, slate clean. The top 2 teams from each division, if you win the first half, you make the playoffs, and then the season restarts over for the second half. So if we don't win the first half, we can still make the playoffs by winning the second half of the season. So that's the cool part about our league and our level is that you basically have 2 shots at the playoffs. So just because we didn't do it in the first 66 games doesn't mean that come mid-September we won't be in the playoffs.
Right.
So.
But I think the most important thing is that the fans have a great time when they go to the games.
Yeah, that's
no
always
matter winning, losing, whatever, they have a good time.
Exactly, that's what we're hoping for as well.
And I don't think I think 90% of our fans don't even know what our record is. Like you said, they just come to our games to drink beer and let the kids run around the Chick-fil-A play zone and watch baseball, and that's what our experience is about.
Give hugs to Bunker and try and get the player autographs by the dugout and all that good stuff. Yep.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Bunker he's very popular. Everybody loves Bunker.
The best bird.
Yep.
So before we close out, just let folks know how they can get information about when the games are taking place, how they can purchase tickets and things like that.
Yeah, they can go visit our website, FayettevilleWoodpeckers.com/tickets. I will say, if you can make it down to the ballpark and purchase at the box office, you save yourself a couple dollars not paying fees online. You can do it either way. So that would be the best route is coming down to Sager Stadium, but you certainly can purchase online. And if you go to our website, you can see, I think we have, 42 games left. You can see all the promotions we have coming up. There's a lot. Our July and August are full of giveaways. So definitely visit the website for more information there and to get your tickets.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming and chatting with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That wraps it up for this episode of the Fayetteville 411. The Fayetteville 411 is one of several podcasts that the city produces for our podcast channel, Radio Fayetteville, as we provide timely and informative updates every week on a variety of topics related to the city of Fayetteville. Be sure to subscribe to Radio Fayetteville on Apple iTunes, as well as YouTube now.
You can also listen to every podcast that Radio Fayetteville has to offer by downloading the Fay TV streaming app, available on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can view all of our video content by visiting faytv.net. And to get information about city services, visit our webpage at fayetteville.nc.gov. Thanks for joining us.